You know, we live in this world that's always buzzing, always demanding a reaction. We're pressured to have an opinion on everything right now. But what if the biggest power move, the truest sign of self-mastery, isn't in what you say, but in what you don't say? That's really the big question we're diving into. The ancient Stoics were absolute masters of this, and by unpacking their wisdom, we're going to discover those key moments when silence speaks louder and with more authority than any words ever could. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll bust the myth that you always have to respond. Then, we'll get into using silence when you're under pressure, how to handle social situations, and why it's a mark of wisdom. And finally, we'll see how to use it as a powerful strategy to really take control. All right, part one, the myth of a response. It's almost like our default setting is just talk. We feel this itch to fill every silence, to explain ourselves, to get that last word in. But the wisest people who ever lived, they understood that real strength is about choosing your moments. Think of it this way. On one side, you've got that knee-jerk reaction. You're basically a puppet and your emotions are pulling the strings. But the Stoics, they offer something different, strategic silence. And this isn't about being passive, not at all. It's about being in the driver's seat. It's a choice to protect your peace, conserve your energy, and command respect without even opening your mouth. Okay, let's gear up for section 2, silence under fire. This is for those moments when your blood starts boiling, right? When someone's coming at you with anger or just totally unfair criticism. The question is, how do you respond with strength instead of just impulse? The Stoic philosopher Seneca absolutely nailed it with this one. The best remedy for anger is delay. He knew that anger is like a temporary form of madness. It just completely clouds your judgment, makes you say things you know you're going to regret, and the cure isn't some witty comeback, it's just a pause. Just look at the difference here. That impulsive response, it feels strong for a second, but what you're really doing is handing over all your power. You're letting their words control you. The Stoic response, though, that keeps the power right where it belongs, with you. By waiting, you let their attack just fizzle out into nothing. So here's something you can literally start using today. It's called the 24-hour rule. Super simple. Step 1, just acknowledge the feeling. Don't fight it. Yep, I'm angry. Step 2, make a solid promise to yourself. I am not responding for a full 24 hours. And step 3, when you're calm again, look at it with fresh eyes and decide if it even deserves a response. I'll bet 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. All right, let's shift from our internal world to the outside. Section 3, silence in social arenas. We've talked about handling our own emotions, but what about the minefield of social dynamics? You know, like gossip or that temptation to correct someone in front of a whole group of people? This is where silence becomes your best tool for integrity. It's really simple psychology. When you call someone out in public, you're not actually teaching them anything. You're just attacking their ego. They're not going to hear what you said. They're just going to get defensive. In gossip, when you join in, you're basically telling everyone that you play in the mud. It just lowers your own value. So this gives us some really clear rules to live by. Praise people in public, it builds them up. If you have to correct someone, do it in private so they can actually hear you. And please, burn this next one into your brain. If someone gossips to you, they will 100% gossip about you. The best response? A blank look or just change the subject. Don't add any fuel to that fire. Okay, on to section 4. And honestly, this might be the most profound one of all. The silence of the wise. See, real wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about being incredibly aware of all the things you don't know. And that awareness, it often looks a lot like silence. There's a perfect psychological concept for this called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's basically why the people who know the least are often the loudest and most confident. The truly smart people, they understand the complexity of things. They know there are nuances, they know their own limits, and that's why they listen way more than they speak. Let's be clear. Saying, I don't know, is not a sign of weakness. It is a massive sign of strength and intellectual integrity. It builds your credibility because when you do finally speak, people know you've actually thought about it. The phrase, I don't have enough information to form an opinion yet, is one of the most powerful things you can ever say. And this quote right here is the perfect reminder to pick your battles. Some people don't argue to find the truth. They argue just to win. Getting into it with them is a complete waste of your time and energy. The wisest thing you can do, just let it go. Your silence is your victory. So far, we've mostly talked about silence as a shield, right? A defensive tool. Well, now we're going to flip the script. How can we use silence as a sword, as a proactive strategy to crush our goals and build an undeniable aura of respect? So check this out. There's this wild psychological trap called social reality. And what it means is when you go around telling everyone about your big plans, your brain gets this little hit of dopamine. It feels good. It feels like you've already accomplished something. And that feeling can actually sabotage your motivation to do the real hard work. So the Stoic counter-strategy is this incredible mantra: work in silence. Let your success make the noise. Stop talking about the amazing thing you're going to do. Just do it. Move quietly, put in the work, and let the results speak for themselves. The impact will be 1,000 times louder. And what about those times when you feel ignored or disrespected? Man, that urge to jump in and explain your worth is so strong. But trying to explain yourself is just begging for their approval. It signals weakness. Silence, though? Silence sends a completely different message. It says, your opinion of me is none of my business. I already know my value. And that brings us to our final section, the one where it all comes together. The ultimate power play, connecting silence to unshakable confidence. Mastering this art is the direct path to developing a core of inner strength that nobody can touch. Just think about the payoff here. We're talking about total control over your emotions, the kind of deep respect from others that you don't have to ask for. All that energy you are wasting on pointless drama, you get to channel it into what actually matters. And the result of all that is a rock-solid, unshakable confidence. So I want you to remember this. The next time you feel that urge, that little jolt that says, speak now, defend yourself, explain, that is not an order. It's not an obligation. It's just a suggestion. And you have all the power in the world to simply say no. So I'll leave you with a challenge. Think about this coming week. Is there a pointless argument you can sidestep? A piece of gossip you can just let die? A moment of anger where you can just breathe? What will you choose not to say this week to take back your focus, your energy, and your power?